All right, as we focus on the policing matter, we're also using this to segue into looking at child safety issues. And our colleague Mbali Thethani is in Soweto for us, speaking to a number of activists on this subject matter. And Mbali, it's quite ironic that this conversation is taking place while police are meeting in Ekurhuleni to discuss some strategies that could be implemented to improve as far as crime is concerned in the country, and also some of the policing matters.
You're certainly right, Bongiwe, and that's where we find ourselves. We find ourselves in the streets of Soweto, and this is where many have seen a number of protests take place over the past couple of days. Just yesterday, there was a protest from Diepkloof all the way to the police station there in that area. There was also another protest that took place in the Johannesburg CBD, and a much bigger protest that took place in Matatiele in the Eastern Cape. And this is because of the 7-year-old girl who was raped in Matatiele, allegedly at the school in Bergview. And this has sparked major outrage from all corners of South Africa, where many people have raised their concerns in terms of child safety, and child safety even within our schools, and the role that police have been playing, quite in particular to this matter that they have been dealing with. And Bongiwe, I mentioned a bit earlier on the issues around some protests which have been taking place, just one in particular that took place yesterday in Soweto. I'm now going to bring in Jessica, and she is a convener for Justice SA, and she was part of this protest that took place yesterday. And now, Jessica, I mean, a number of South Africans have raised their outrage over what we've seen with the 7-year-old case of that rape case that took place in the Eastern Cape. Your organization also concerned about children, and hence why you have taken to the streets to highlight this concern.
Yes, our purpose is to fight for all the Kwekwe's out there, including Alu herself, and we want to urge the police officials to take us seriously.
You marched to the police station right yesterday, and you were saying that there are a number of issues here that you feel that the police have not done right. What sort of interventions do you want to see now in terms of going forward? No one has been arrested for this rape case in the Eastern Cape.
Yes, we want the police to find new investigators for the case, and we demand thorough investigation regarding the case, and we want to know if all 3 results have been taken.
And in terms of the people who took part of your protest, just tell us what they have been saying, why they are part of these protests that are taking place, in and around South Africa.
All the protesters are very angry, and this has opened a very old wound for women in South Africa. And all the women just want everyone to be part of these protesters, everyone going to work, every school child to take part in this, every South African.
And it doesn't end here, right, Jessica? You are still going to continue raising your concerns around child safety?
Yes, we are still going to mobilize and protest more.
All right, thank you very much. That is Jessica there. She is from Justice SA, Bongiwe, talking about some of the mobilizations that have been taking place in Soweto. And of course, just talking about the issues of how police have been handling this matter, and also highlighting the fact that, there is a child here who has, been experiencing sexual harassment. At the same time, the fact that, there has been nobody who has been brought to book, raising issues and concerns here in this community of Soweto as well. I'm going to bring in now Usis Jablile. She is from another organization, also taking their stand and playing their role in communities in South Africa. And Usis Jabu, this really highlighting issues around safety in South Africa and safety of children.
No, indeed, it does highlight. So I am Childline Masibuko from NACCW. We have a program called Ekurhuleni, where we deploy qualified child and youth care workers to respond to psychosocial issues, including safety issues. And, when we get into the school, we ensure that we support young people. There are issues like gangsterism, violence that is taking place, bullying that is taking place, even abuse on its own. In this particular case that we are talking about, we are looking at child safety, safeguarding policies that needs to be in place, that needs to speak to the protection of children within the environment of people that are supposed to protect them. And we have the responsibility to uphold the zero tolerance of abusing of children in our country, in our own schools. And in terms of safeguarding, we need to ensure that every person in the school understand what are the safeguarding policies around children. They need to understand how they should be behaving. What is it when you actually break that offense? And they need to understand those issues. And it starts from recruitment. Are we doing a proper recruitment? And are we doing reviews, monitoring that recruitment processes? Are we having like a safe space for people to report in terms of reporting this abuse? Who is taking the steps against that? Who are the officers that are supposed to be actually investigating these issues that have been identified in the school? And who's holding them accountable? You know, who's monitoring all these processes? And we need to ensure, in terms of all of our child and youth care workers that we have deployed in school, they are all registered by the South African Council for Social Service Profession, and we ensure that they are also screened against the Child Protection Register. It includes also, you know, submitting your clearance from the SABC, so we ensure that children are protected. And also the activities that we are doing as well need to respond into safety around children in terms of supervision and ensuring that children are safe to also disclose matters. They don't actually have to go back home without even telling us this is the issue.
All right. Thank you so much, Jabulile. That is Jabulile there, just talking about also some of the interventions that they have made in terms of safety within schools and creating certain groups, Bongiwe, to try and safeguard children. I'm going to bring in Childline now, and I'm joined by Dumisile. And, Dumisile, this has really, sparked and highlighted some of the issues that we face as a society. And this is something that you have been dealing with head on.
Thank you so much. Yes, and this really, to us, shows the extent and the magnitude of the problem in South Africa. Children in South Africa are faced with abuse, and violent crimes against children is on the rise. If you look at what used to happen 10 years ago and you look at where we are now, it seems as if we are just not winning in this issue.
Maybe give us some of the statistics in terms of, children who are vulnerable in our society and what often happens to them. And these are the cases that you deal with as an NGO.
Yes, we know that in South Africa, based on the study that was done, 1 in 4 children in South Africa we are talking about those that are under the age of 18, have been exposed to abuse, one form of abuse or the other. At Childline, we have our toll-free helpline, and from that line we receive about 300,000 calls a year, and most of those calls are about abuse. So we're looking at different forms of abuse, including sexual abuse. But obviously there are other bigger issues as well in terms of relationships, in terms of bullying issues within the school environment as well.
And how have you been dealing with cases of a sexual harassment nature as Childline?
So as Childline, when we receive such cases, because our toll-free number is available throughout South Africa, we are able to connect that young parent or that child who has made contact with us to relevant authorities that will be able to help them. So it could be the police, it could be social workers as well. But within our offices as Childline, we also offer therapy and psychosocial support to children who have experienced abuse and trauma. We also exist in centers that are called Tutuzela Care Centers, where you get the necessary professionals to help children and adults who have experienced sexual abuse in particular. So in that context, we offer psychosocial support.
Right, thank you so much, Dumisile. That is Dumisile there from Childline, just giving us some of the statistics that we face as a country, saying 1 in 4 children in South Africa experience some sort of abuse, and they continue to monitor some of these cases, saying that on an annual basis they receive thousands of these calls, Bongiwe, calling for some sort of intervention.
And Mbali, you know, as she goes through those statistics there, one really just wonders what can be done to bring these numbers down. You think about many children who also don't even come forward to make those calls. What then is done in some of these cases that are going unreported? Thank you so much for that. That's our colleague there, Mbali Thethani, live for us in Soweto, speaking to the activists there.